All right, let me just check. I'm gonna quickly share it on Facebook and Twitter. Oh, that's right. I now need to go to YouTube to do that. There we are. So you're good?
Yeah, I just give me the word.
Yeah, will do.
The bird is the word.
Bird is the word. There we are. I'm gonna quickly just copy this link and get it over with. Shut up, shut up, shut up. There it clicks. Thank you very much. There you go. All right. Post, and I'll do a quick one on Twitter as well. Let me just get rid of this shit here.
So it's not a family-friendly show.
It usually isn't. Well, you never know what happens. You know what I mean?
I'll try and behave.
I'm not. If it happens, it happens. What's your Twitter handle again? It's just
just SineEffect, one word.
SineEffect.
That's frustrating because I don't usually do live streams, so I panicked a wee bit to get all the audio set up, and all the fancy stuff that I used to record pedals didn't work. It was just the good old smartphone in the end, which is what I'm using as a webcam here.
Why not? There we go. I think all the promo that can be done is done. There you go. How's that? Right, so one more thing. Let's see. There we are. Like and share. Like and share.
Should I be doing the same thing?
If you've got an extra hand to do it, sure. Anyway, so welcome. So I'm just going to quickly introduce Grant from SineEffect, and always make a point to say that you're from Glasgow, just so people have the fear, you know.
Yeah. I have the fear of myself. It's that bad.
Yeah. So where are you living now?
In the Glagow. Yeah, south of Glasgow.
Okay, so just to introduce you, Grant from SineEffect, and what I'm also quickly going to do is just share my screens to show people that you actually have some presence on online.
I'm a real person. I do exist.
You're a real person.
This isn't CGI.
So, firstly, we've got a fairly decently occupied Instagram page. Again, just the handle SineEffect. And looks like you've been busy there.
Yeah, just mostly in the past since December, really. For some reason, I just kind of suppose neglected Instagram. I wasn't part of that kind of wave of everyone getting onto Instagram. I got on a bit late, but I'm glad I did, because it is quite handy to just share a picture. A picture says 1,000 words.
Yeah, and do it quickly.
Yeah.
No faffing about. I'm just trying to see. I'm gonna scroll back, see how far back you've been posting. Oh, look at this. This Dysphoria and the Amphister. There you go. Now that's a loss to you, to the guitar playing community, the Amphister, don't you think?
I think my issue with it is, well, two issues. Basically, the Amphister used to let you control which frequencies actually got clipped. So a tone control before the distortion, whereas usually thereafter. So you got to control which
Nicholas
frequencies
Sturgeon.
actually distort.
Awesome.
Definitely. Love a bit
Anyway,
of
sorry, you were saying.
Oh no, basically that's what the pedal did. It let you control which frequencies actually got distorted instead of controlling the frequencies after the fact. But on one hand, that was kind of a complicated thing to explain to people in a sound bite really, and also I don't feel it was perfected enough for my liking really. Yeah, so each version actually has slight differences as I tried to kind of tweak it slightly to kind of give more options and make the knobs more responsive, the pre-tone control more responsive. But yeah, it's quite a difficult range. It's quite subtle differences as well when you're doing that, as opposed to EQ after distortion. So it was just maybe a bit too much ambiguity on all fronts, really, for me to want to continue with it. But it might come back at another point.
Once you've come up with a new version in your dreams, huh? So the other thing, we've also got a Facebook page, which you handle there. Again, just, yeah, this is easy stuff. SineEffect, once again, a YouTube channel, man, you really got to work on this one.
Yeah, that's true.
But this surprised me the other day, that you've got your new website up and running with the shop going.
Yeah, I've got my dad's cousin, basically, a guy called Douglas. He's great at all this stuff, and he's been doing this on his own back as a favour, kind of. We've both been kind of busy with other stuff, so we haven't fully pushed out that boat yet, but we are hoping to in the next month or so, especially with all the lockdown stuff. There's more kind of time for him to do that.
Well, what we'll do is we'll add all the stuff in the description of the video after the fact, so that anybody who is interested can go there. So nothing to do, but let's go through the questions, man. Easy questions.
Check the auto cue.
Check the auto cue. Check your notes. When did you start?
2014. It was probably the start of the year is when I started kind of getting obsessed with making pedals, or maybe the end of the 2013, and then by the end of 2014 was when, for one reason or another, just ended up trying to make a business out of it. Yeah, so about 6 years now.
So what was the first pedal you made?
For me or for SineEffect?
For SineEffect.
Well, it was a bit of a panic to get something made, and luckily I think the Dysphoria came across a certain niche of kind of doom. You actually helped point this out to me. A kind of doom, low end, kind of not quite grungy, but that kind of stoner metal kind of vibe. I had that niche. Yeah, it was a Dysphoria pedal, but basically that just came out of me panicking. To have some kind of product to sell, a distortion pedal seemed like the most straightforward one, really, and luckily I built that niche. Which
one did we call the 808 killer? Was it the Dysphoria or the Amphister? It was the Amphister, wasn't it?
Probably, because it's more of an overdrive. Yeah, as an overdrive, it's soft clipping as opposed to hard clipping.
You know what amphisting means, Katrina?
It's just a very literal. That's what an overdrive does, you know.
Well, okay. So every now and then some stuff pops in my head, which I think might be worthwhile from a technical point of view to be explained by somebody who designs and builds the stuff. So this, you always hear it when from pedal builders and amp builders and all these reviews, like hitting the front end of the amp hard. Like, is that actually a thing? Is that actually true? Or is it just is it just one of those things people say?
Well, you're both solid state and tube amps. Really, solid state amps usually work at around 30 volts total, plus minus 15 volts. Tube amps are up to like 600 volts or stuff like that, 400 volts. Whereas your pedals are all 9 volts, so no matter how hard they clip, they're never going to be more than that. In most cases, a lot less than that. So you are given a pre-distorted signal, but you're not actually most of the time anyway, unless it's maybe a small practice amp. You're not actually distorting. Yeah, but your Scottishness, the actual input of the amp, because the voltage, so the supply voltage of the amp is much higher than the pedal usually.
So basically, when people say that, it's one of those BS marketing phrases that just actually mean fuck all.
Not quite, because another way to look at it is you are getting, if you combine the gain from your pedal and the gain from your amplifier preamp stage, you are getting combined gain as well, which it does slam maybe the power amp stage a bit harder. But also you're getting the often solid state distortion from your pedal, and you're combining that sound with the distortion from your amp. So that's another, it can be more powerful in a different way, just the combination of those two sounds.
I see. So they should rather phrase it like it helps your preamp hit the front end of your power amp. That would be more accurate.
Yeah, it would change the interaction in some ways, but with the preamp, but like reaching over certain thresholds and stuff, but it wouldn't properly clip most preamps. However, having said that, solid state preamps do have the same stuff in them as pedals when it comes to distortion, the diodes.
Yeah.
So they often have the same clipping thresholds. So if we're talking about our amp on clean, maybe not really. If we're talking about a solid state amp with diodes, yes, it's a bit of a messy grey area. You can't, not one rule fit everything really.
All right.
But generally you're not really slamming the input, because the input's got a huge supply voltage. So yeah.
I see. All right. Swiftly moving on. Well, you kind of started. I suppose the question is, how did you start? Was there a specific want or situation, or?
Well, I suppose basically a bit of a autistic maniac, and then I just wasn't really very employable. I found it difficult to get a job, and I was on welfare for a long time, and the government put me on various schemes to try and get people into work, allegedly, or just to get the unemployment numbers down. And one of those schemes was, basically they said to me, the government, we'll offer to help you start a business and give you a loan, which I think really was just a lot of people just took that money and ran, and it was just to get the numbers down, unemployment. But for me, it actually helped. They said, either take this money and it'll help you start a business, or you can just go on another work program thing where you have to just sit around and they'll teach you the basics of how to write a CV and all this rubbish. So I panicked. I didn't know quite how to make pedals that well, but I had been doing it for a year, really obsessed with it. And in the space of time where I had to set up that business to prove that I was capable of getting the money and investment and everything, I panicked and I speed learned. I learned everything I could as fast as I can, and it was stressful, but it was a really great period. Just getting all that into my head, learning how to start a business, and over time, I suppose it's constantly a case of perfecting that. But there was a period in December where I had this pressure to get this business set up that I didn't know too much about in a short space of time, and it was just totally revolutionary experience for me. Set up. So yeah, I was given an ultimatum basically, and that I kind of put myself into, and that's how I'm where I am today, and it worked.
So you were kind of fisted into pedal bowling.
Yeah, I painted myself into that corner. We both did. Me and the government did.
It's going really well.
Sorry, we're getting comments from the back here. Okay, so that is when, why, how. That's cool. Already know that you're based in Glasgow. I have a bit of an affinity with Glasgow, especially from a music scene. But it was funny. I was talking to somebody the other day. They said that Glasgow's music scene is actually pretty pants, and all I could think of is, I don't think he knows exactly how pants some cities' music scene really can be. So as things go, it's not bad. But the reason I'm mentioning this is because when you started, you were in that scene, so you probably had some contacts to possibly start possible clients. Basically, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, there was. I was in a band called Heavy Smoke, and I suppose most of my experience of the music scene is centered around Glasgow. I've actually heard, a bit of a tangent here, I've heard in Edinburgh, they actually have a better deal with as far as promoters. Now I'm going a bit of an abuse rampage here.
That's fine, that's what we're here for.
Well, basically, yeah, I'm just going to get this out of the way because it's in my head. There was a period where promoters, quote unquote, would phone up venues, get all the bands to sell all the tickets, do like not much promoting for themselves and pocket all the cash, and the bands would like not really bring anybody because they're just bands, you know. And this was like the cycle basically, and then you sometimes graduate to King Tut's, which is quite a better venue in Glasgow, and that's what we did, but we didn't really progress beyond that point. So anyway, get back to the question. I knew a lot of people from the scene, but also from college before that. A lot of people from the band Bloodthread and various other bands. Just, yeah, so from the college as well, the Academy of Music and Sound in Glasgow, when maybe about 15 years ago. Yeah, and Facebook and just mutual friends and stuff like that.
So you knew Peter from college already? Oh
no, I knew Tony from college.
Oh, all right.
The guitarist in Bloodthread. So Peter's left, obviously, but yeah.
Okay, these are cool questions. I think so. Anyway, what's the best-selling one?
The Mega Para, I think, 3-band parametric EQ, £149.
Have you? Yeah, can get them while they're hot. Have you written the massive manual there to explain people how to use the 3-band equalizer? I thought I did a good job. I thought I did a good job in my video to explain it, because it seems even in the recording side of things, people shy away from them because they don't know how absolutely useful they can be.
Yeah, there's been maybe a couple of people that didn't really know, that didn't really seem to understand what the pedal was about. But you know, the flip side of that is the curiosity inspires them to learn. So I suppose there's not always the prejudice, like you don't know what you're talking about, you can't buy this pedal, you know, there's nothing like that. It's like,
no, that's not what I meant.
I know, but like you think maybe there's a bit of that among some people, but not from my point of view, because you see a pedal with 10 knobs and you're like, cool. You know, and I see anything with 10 knobs, I'm like, I want to know what that is.
Well, that's the thing, right? I mean, just looking at it, it makes you want to buy it, because if you're a little bit, you know, into gear, the more knobs, you know, the more things to play with, you know. It's kind of like a, yeah. Anyway, I nearly said something about knobs there, but never mind.
Well, that is quite a niche, not niche, but there is more so than other pedals. It's people that know more what they're doing with the recording and stuff like that, and you know, finessing their work in the production side of things. There's probably a slight more bias towards that kind of customer with the parametric EQs than there is with just like your average rock guitarist, but it covers everybody really. I think it's quite a useful tool to have for all genres.
So what was the thought then to make the mini para? Was it just a case of trying to simplify it, or?
The original Mega Para and Mini Para were actually, what I did, I made 3 circuit boards, and you could use one of these boards for the Mini Para, the 1-band parametric EQ, or you could use 3 of them for the 3-band parametric EQ. So just 2 tiers of product for, you know, if you didn't necessarily need all that EQ, you could just get one. But, that actually ended up being a bit of a pain, because you had to wire all the boards up separately and you had to wire each one differently, each time. So in the end, it's a half-finished one. I just split the products even further apart. So we've got the Mega Para 3-band EQ, and we've got the Micro Para now, which is smaller, significantly smaller than the Mini Para.
Okay. I actually had a question in my head. You actually made me think of something, and literally as I clicked this button, I forgot. So I'm just going to carry on. It might come back to me. Oh, that's what it was. So going from 2014, so that's 6 years, going from making kind of overdrive pedals, boost pedals, to something so overcomplicated from a build perspective and a design perspective as the Para, the Mega Para. Isn't that a little bit, that must have been a little bit of a mind F, you know what I mean?
When you break it down though, it's 3 bands, so like 3 parts of the circuit are repeated, which isn't, as simple as copying and pasting to fit it all in the box. But yeah, I don't think it's that much of a jump. Basically, I thought at that point it's quite difficult to sell more subjectively appealing pedals like distortions, overdrives, things that are quite personal to someone's sound. So I wanted to come up with to be selling stuff that's more utilitarian, more like anyone can benefit from it really. And I thought maybe that'll attract more people, and I guess I was right, because there's just people that play quite singer-songwritery acoustic-y stuff, like on acoustic guitar that they use it, and then there's just the absolute heaviest like gent guys, heavy metal guys. So I think that paid off, but I don't think it's. I suppose I just get better. Really, I get better at like doing circuit boards and electronics and stuff, and it wasn't too much hassle. It was a progression. Right, if you look at the first Dysphoria circuit boards and the HD Boost, another early product, everything's quite sparse. Whereas lately, I'm quite obsessed with trying to fit as much components as possible. All through-hole components, by the way, hand soldered, genuinely made by hand.
I was going to ask that. You're still sitting there doing most of it yourself.
Yeah. One thing that has changed, you may have noticed, is the physical appearance of the pedals over the years. They used to be various colours and covered in resin, and they were quite shiny, and I painted them myself, and I put the labels on myself. I put labels on myself, and that was a bit of a problem because it took a long time. It didn't make me too much money, and at the end of maybe a few hours, a few days' work, you could end up with a product that was just ruined, and you'd have to start over, and that's a whole sanding it down is a whole issue in itself. So eventually I moved to the ones in the top right. I get the panels made for me. So yeah,
I must say I really like the look of the new style. Even these.
It's easier to actually, because I don't have to worry about quite a lot of money per unit going wrong. There's quite a high margin of failure with the previous method, and the fact that I'm doing everything myself, the soldering, the design, the assembly, and selling them, it was just really stressful. So I'm glad that I've taken a lot of the cosmetic stuff out of the equation in terms of me being responsible for it.
Yeah, I must admit, I really like the look of these, the new way that they're done.
Cheers. Thank the people at the circuit board factory because they're the ones that actually make the panels. I send them the design and out in China, and they're great. They're fantastic. Don't get enough credit.
Oh well, okay. I'll forward that message on to them.
You know them personally.
Yeah, every one of them. So, what is your favorite pedal to build?
This was actually quite a hard one because this interview's rigged. You sent me the questions before, but so I remember finding this quite hard when you sent me it. I think what appeals to me is new stuff. When a new product comes out, I suppose there's just the excitement of, you know, you've not got a bit jaded by making it for ages. Like right now, I've got the Wii DI pedal, which is a DI box basically, and no knobs, just all switches, which means that you can't screw it into the enclosure via the knobs. So I have to put, like in a computer, you get the motherboard mounted on little spacers, and I have to put that in. And for some boring reason, I find that fun. Some different way of putting the board in from usual. So just anything that's new, really, any novelty. I think probably the micro para is quite satisfying when it's finished, when it's completed. Maybe not when I'm assembling it, but when it's completed, it just feels nice in the hand. Yeah.
Nice and ergonomic. Okay, but that brings us to the next one, because I thought that the ideas behind the Amphister and the Dysphoria were quite solid ideas. Partly because the pedal building market is completely saturated with Tube Screamer clones, fuzz, and Klon clones, and all the usual stuff. But to take the way I saw it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I saw it was that these pedals were kind of like what the Tube Screamer was, not what it was designed for, but what people ended up using it for obviously wasn't fit for purpose. So building a pedal that does that and designing it specifically for that purpose, to me, sounded like a pretty good idea. So I personally am a bit surprised that you kind of shelved it a little bit.
I'm a bit reluctant to take the credit away from Ibanez.
No, it's not.
I know what you mean. Basically, I don't think the Dysphoria. I think the Amphister is quite novel. It's quite different. I don't think that the Dysphoria personally was too exciting and too appealing to a wide range of people. One thing the Dysphoria does differently is, for most dirt pedals, is usually they cut out everything below 700 hertz, thereabouts. Definitely they don't have around 250 hertz, which is a well-known muddy region. So they cut that out, so usually in distortion pedals and overdrive pedals, so they don't get too boomy. Whereas the Dysphoria leaves that in. It was about 150 hertz. It just ended up sounding good for certain kind of low end chords. So yeah, the more content is preserved in the Dysphoria.
Okay.
And the low end.
So from a mixing perspective, when you have a full tone, if you lose, you kind of have to drop everything up to about 80 usually, especially if it's heavy chugging stuff, right? So, but you need the 100 to 150 roughly for some bottom end, but it has to be tight. It has to be fairly narrow. And then you need to drop around 250 mark again. It's best done with like a side chaining, so that it only drops on a drum bass or on a bass note as well, so that you can drop them at that specific point, because again, otherwise you lose. So I find it quite surprising that the pedals cut that much out, all the way up to 7. I'm sure they don't cut it out completely, do they?
Well, it's not a very steep filter, so it's not going to be like 700 hertz and then like that. It's going to be like that.
All right. Okay.
But also, it's not that it cuts it out. It just doesn't amplify them to boost. It doesn't amplify them as you turn the gain knob, basically. It's not that it cuts it, it boosts up and then doesn't boost that part up. And another thing though is when you get things distorted, you get all the harmonic content from that as well, which is a consideration that you don't have when you're working with a clean signal on a desk side of things. So that's why in the tube screamer, the tube screamer's nasally sound, much like my own voice. It comes from that 700 hertz high pass filter, but on the other side of that, there's a 720 hertz low pass filter. So it's just a big kind of peak, band pass.
I see. We always get technical with these things.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm rambling too much. Sorry.
No. Because I think this is what people find interesting. That's what I find interesting. Because I don't know much about this. That's why I don't want to start doing it myself. Because I know fuck all.
That's how I started.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at some of the kind of basic schematics and the little breadboard things, and like basically maybe 5 or 6 parts on it, a couple of diodes, a couple of things here and there. And I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to start looking at numbers and which ones I need to be ordered. So I'm like, forget about it, can't be bothered. Next. So what's in the pipeline? What are the next?
I've not opened the bag yet, but it's some circuit boards for, if you can see, I've not even named the product yet. So it says ABY box. Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So that's basically a lot of time over the years I've seen people with ABY boxes, and once you press the Y button, it kind of locks you out of the AB button, if that makes sense, because they're passive switches. So it's not really that hard when you get active circuitry to make one switch reset another switch. But of course, you still want true bypass. So this pedal does quite a lot of things like that. It lets one switch reset the other switch. It lets you have a latch-in mode or a momentary mode, so you can just kind of do stutter effects or hold it down while you tune. And the ground lift and various things like that. Just a kind of smart ABY pedal that uses relays. So it's still true bypass and it has all these extra features. So now that I've said all that, I'd better make sure I get it out before the competitors that are watching this. Oops.
Yeah. Well, I guess the ABY box is building them simply is probably still just the easiest thing to do, and that's why they end up doing it that way. So you've got no kind of effects pedals specifically.
Not really. I've got the clean dual boost pedal that's out already, and it's basically 2 channels of boost and a frequency control. I think I had it up earlier on Instagram. It's the blue pedal. So that and the Wii DI pedal are probably the new ones this year, and hopefully the ABY box.
This one here.
Yeah. So I've got, beyond that, I make circuit boards all the time lately because it's like Tetris to me. In fact, I stopped playing video games when I started getting into the PCB design because it's just much more fun, and you get something out of it as a result. So I've been working on various things, but nothing I'm happy with in terms of will people be interested in this? Will it serve a good function that some other product couldn't serve? Because you can stick loads of features in something, but there's no point if no one's going to use it. So designing any pedal it's just like a filtration process, and by the end of it, you end up with like nothing half the time. Sometimes a few grains will get through, and then you have a product that might be worth selling.
Okay. Here we go. So well, I know what band you were in. You're no band now, are you?
No, we broke up last year. It just got too repetitive, and we weren't making any progress after 9 years.
Have you got any ambition to get one going again?
Probably not Heavy Smoke. I want to do my own stuff, maybe. I don't know how. I don't want the pressure of the gigs and stuff. Maybe I would if I was more optimistic about it, but I would just get a bit bored with Heavy Smoke and a bit pessimistic as a result. Not because it was a bad band, we were awesome, but because we just kept doing the same stuff. And so when I think about gigging, I'm not too motivated, but I would like to get into songwriting and focus on the actual art of it again.
That means you've got to deal with people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I've
not given up. I hope that once the lockdown is done, the next album will be with the other two guys again. But although it was kind of satisfying getting this last one out, it's not what it's about. It's about playing with other guys. They're not.
Yeah, I think that, okay, maybe you're just getting too enthusiastic with that. Yeah, why not?
that joke was like 5 minutes coming.
Is that why this is after 10 at night? Is that why you wanted it on so late?
No, it's more like work and other sorts of shit going on. No, but it's one of the things that annoyed me the most, and it's like super frustrating, is like, to me, drums are one of the most important pieces of a band, and if you are doing it yourself with Easy Drummer or whatever, things like that, you get there, you can get a half decent product out, and they bother, right? But it's just never what you actually want. You know what I mean? It's like there's like this 5%, 10% frustration that you're like, it could have been different and better, or
the drums specifically.
Yes, specifically the drums. Everything else is fine. It's just it's the interaction, that's missing. It's a real pain in the butt, to be honest.
For me personally, like just to start this kind of story, whenever there's a break in rehearsals for any band, most other members of the band can get on the drums and play something. I can't. I'm incapable. I'm fundamentally incapable. So even though I program drums in, last time I did was on Reason 5, which is the software that I used to use. I can program them in, but it's not that I'm dissatisfied with them. I'm just quite ignorant of what good, like, nuanced drumming is. So whenever I've had a drummer add his flavour to something that I've wrote, a real drummer, I'm usually quite surprised. So I think whereas you expect it to be better, like, I don't know it can be better when it comes to old songwriting. I'm quite a simpleton when it comes to drum expectations.
I spent an hour and a half driving home from a tour one day listening to Mastodon all the way, and I found myself, I don't think I heard one riff or anything. I was literally, all I heard was the drums.
Really?
Because it so gripped me, like, fucking hell, why can't I have a drummer like that, who just sits there every day and it's like, oh, by the way, I want to play this now, can you like sort the drums out for me? Yeah, sure. Like a drum butler, like a really good one.
Do you know what, Mark, our old drummer, before we split up, he's an amazing drummer. Yeah, I was just going to point out he's visually impaired, but he's amazing despite this. And I'm like, should that be the only quality I describe on a live stream? Other than, he's a good drummer. He's a good drummer and a nice guy. But he just, in my mind, when you said a drum butler, like, I thought he'd be perfect for that. You should get in touch with Mark.
Drum butler. That's a new one. Yeah. So last question, man. Last question. So What's your go-to genre? I don't ask what's your favorite type of music, because that's kind of like a bullshit question. But what's your go-to genre? Like, I don't know what to listen to.
Upbeat heavy metal, like Ozzy, and maybe a bit of Van Halen. But I love the Ramones as well. Yeah, just that kind of. Maybe sometimes I listen to kind of like minor key, depressing sounding stuff, but I just like that kind of, yeah, a bit of Motley Crue, that vibe. As far as my go-to music would be, it would probably be that, or some of the upbeat Sabbath songs. Because that's one thing about Sabbath that are great, is that they're renowned for starting so many bands that are quite melancholy sounding, but they themselves are actually quite, fun. And some of their songs quite like hippie-ish and positive.
They were just happy to get out of the fucking factories, No wonder they were happy once they made it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for sure. Man, that's it from me. Unless you want to, you have any promo wrapping that you want to add to this. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna add some more stuff to once this video is done, it will take like half a day, and then it'll be like properly live, and then I can add certain things, and then I'll add just links to your website and stuff like that as well. But if there's anything you want to add, you just send it through.
You should definitely get onto craftwork.com, because Helmut has been a huge fucking help. So he's been a huge help to SineEffect over the years, and I'm really, really grateful for it. You should definitely go on there for a lot of. You can buy pedals on there, not just mine.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of articles. There's a lot of like reviews of gear, and it's just from Helmut's kind of like no holding back perspective, really. And I'd rather promote you, man. I feel like I owe you a good chunk of promotion. So as far as SineEffect goes, yeah, I'm working on a pre-order system at the moment mostly, but if you get in touch with me, I'll always be able to get you something within a fortnight or two. And yeah,
that's good to know. So the stuff, I mean, I think it's important that people understand if they want to buy from a smaller company or somebody who still handles it, expecting some wait time is just part and parcel. And it, firstly, they should be supporting builders, and then they shouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of wait time. It's just the way it is.
I mean, I had more stock in advance ready before COVID came about. My situation was because some of the components come from China, the circuit board specifically. The coronavirus obviously hit there before it hit here.
Yeah.
So there was delays while Shenzhen in China closed down. Basically, and we were obviously all quite naive to this situation at this point. So I'm like, oh, okay then. There's a bit of a supply chain issue. And then once that was over, coronavirus came here. And then we all got locked down. So I've managed to keep going throughout, but that's why I have had to switch to a pre-order system. But yeah, it's maybe a bit preferable than investing in something and then not being sure when you're going to sell it. But having said that, people seem quite keen at the moment. I'm really appreciative of that, especially, and I understand times are quite tough.
Yeah.
So you guys are keeping me going, and hopefully in some kind of spiritual way, in some kind of creative way, I'm keeping you guys going. Even just
we're right behind you, man. We're right behind you.
My pedals saved you single-handedly.
Well, I keep going on about this because I think that everybody's complaining about the situation, about this, that, and the other, and globalization and corporations fucking people over left, right, and center. I'm like, well, there's an easy way to solve it. It's like people stop buying from them. Just buy from your local butcher and your local pedal maker, and there's enough people around to buy good stuff from. So just don't buy, just because the pedal is £20 on Amazon and it says it sounds like an OCD, you don't have to buy it. You could.
That's still
really
a better price than the OCD.
Well, the OCDs they're either gonna go really expensive now, or they're gonna get like dirt cheap. Did you see the thing about?
Yeah, he's been a very Richard Fuller. He's been a very naughty boy.
He stepped right into it.
That. Yeah.
Well, he did the whole back pedal, but everybody was like, yeah, whatever. So
well,
I always like it.
The back pedal.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got something to say, make sure you're on the right side of history. You know what I mean? That's all I can say.
Make sure you own all your stuff.
Yeah. But it's funny because what I thought was going to happen is like everybody is going to like get pissed off and chuck their stuff on eBay and Reverb, and then eBay and Reverb will say, hey, I don't deal with people like you anymore. I'm going to sell your stuff anymore. And then there's like no outlet. So there will be this underground OCD Fuller Tone, whatever it's called, market opening, black market open up, and people are standing in alleys like handing big jackets and shit, handing out full tone products.
Pedal dealing, peddling pedals.
Pedaling pedals, I know, yeah. Anyway, I thought that was hilarious because there was a whole lot of overreacting and underreacting going on at the same time, which was funny, which I love the drama sometimes, although this kind of drama I can deal with because it's actually about a real issue. Whereas usually I try and shy away from these online dramas because they seem to.
I'm quite politically passionate about certain things, and I try to contain myself in terms of SineEffect because people don't really, they don't come to me for that. That's my point of view. They don't come to me for my views, but if there's something that is really maybe wrong in the world, then I'm happy to support it and stuff like that.
Well, I think that we all have a duty, regardless if I have a business or not. We have a duty to speak out.
Yeah, Black Lives Matter, definitely.
In general, anything that is that we feel is morally or politically an issue, and we want to fight for equality and fairness, we should speak out. The same goes for him. If he wants to make racist comments or whatever he did, I actually didn't read into it too much. I don't know exactly what he said. As far as I know, he just tweeted something. But anyway, the point is, he's also in his right to say whatever he likes. But people just have to understand there's going to be repercussions. That's all. You know what I mean? Say what you like. But
I think he was trying to be supportive of small businesses. That was his angle. But
yeah, I think so.
I don't think that's really a valid kind of. It feels a bit shoehorned, but
well,
just
again, if you say something with that in mind, so you were like, okay, listen, guys, just don't destroy the small businesses, which is a valid point. You have to probably take 5 minutes and think about how you're going to phrase that so that it doesn't get taken either out of context or the wrong way. So
it was quite a long post.
Like I said, I only thought that he had like one tweet saying, people destroying local businesses should be whatever. I can't remember what he said. Anyway, like I said, I don't go too far into it. I get more fun out of reading the comments about things like that than the actual the popcorn moment. And then at some point I'm bored with it and I have to like do something else. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to switch this broadcast off. We'll still stay up here. So anyway, thanks a lot, man. And anybody who's watching, all the details of all the stuff will be below in a couple of days. So don't be scared. It'll be there. Otherwise, thank you very much. And
thanks a lot for having me, man.
Man, yes, thank you.
Just